Hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is Julia Pettis. I am your host for today's Style Exhibition virtual podcast, and I'm super excited to welcome our guest, Nina Kovner. I would like to introduce her as a brand architect. She is someone that I feel like just can really kind of give you the answers that you're searching for in such a simplistic way as a creative that you're like, dang, think of that. So I want to welcome to today's episode, Nina Kovner. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Julia. I love the brand architect. Like you just gave me inspiration and ideas as I'm working on redoing some things for 2024. So thank you.
Yes,
And it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be here.
it's an honor to have you. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Oh, we do not have enough time for that. Let me see. Super short story. I've been in the professional beauty industry since 1987 when I went to beauty school and assisted in a salon. And I was an educator and just like so many folks had an incredible passion for the business and ended up on the business side of the business very early in my career. So I've spent, the last 30 years of that, 35 years, working on the business side of the business. I was in distribution and ultimately marketing, education, and events. And so I brought that inspiration when I left the corporate world into Passion Squared, which I created in 2012 to empower the people that I love in the professional beauty and wellness space. With a focus on brand storytelling and brand development and marketing, of course, and then brought my own personal story into it with personal empowerment and development. Yeah, I live in Portland, Oregon, in a little forest, and yeah, I'm it's my third act, So it's simple. I'm it's everything simple, simple. I don't even know if that was I don't even know if I said much about myself.
You gave us a tidbit, just a tidbit, but I will say, if you guys didn't catch it, she said Passion Squared. So that logo that you see behind her, see, brand architect. This is what I'm talking about right here. It's right there in your face. Like that's
what's amazing? One of our clients made that. It's like a tapestry.
Oh,
years ago.
okay.
And they had never created anything. They had never like knitted or crocheted or tapestry, whatever. I don't even know what it's called because I clearly don't do it either. And then just sent it to me as a gift, as a surprise. And so everywhere I've moved, which is a lot since I started Passion Squared, that's the first thing that goes up in my office.
I love that. I love that. And if I'm honest, I feel like I'm getting ready to kind of jump ahead a little bit. I thought about your brand and how I could make the color gradient on this video to match your brand. But I was like, no, don't do it, just because nobody's going to understand what that is until after she explains it. But in my mind, I was thinking about it. Like, I want her to be on brand. I want her to stay true to it. Like, I even wore my I Am My Brand shirt.
I love it.
Nope, we're representing for her today. So
I love it.
What would you describe as your personal style and how that's kind of shaped you and how it's also shaped your brand?
Well, that's a really interesting question because when I had thought, I was thinking about that this morning as I put on my beanie and my like warm, cozy clothes that I wear as I work at home pretty much every day. Mm-hmm. My personal style has evolved a lot in 57 years.
Okay.
There's no question. I mean, when I was a young stylist, it was the 80s, so I mean, there was a lot of style there. And then as I grew into the corporate world, I was kind of like the designer, you know, Gucci, Chanel, you know, yeah,
Thanks. Yes.
all the things. But when I started Passion Squared, you know, it really was, I was in my mid 40s. So again, context is so important here.
Yes.
And I had no idea what I was going to do after I walked away from my career at the top of my game, making a ridiculously gross amount of money. I didn't think much about it. So when I started Passion Squared, I really wanted to keep it as simple as possible. And I think that really explains my personal style. There's no fluff in my education, in how we approach business, how we approach brand storytelling, brand development, healthy boundaries. All the things that we do with our clients and community are simple, because I learned in very early in my career that simple is actually quite complicated to right. It's so much easier to like add more and create more. And so the person that I worked for 25 years, John Paul DeJoria, he's a billionaire. I mean, most people know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I started working for him when I was 21.
Wow.
So I've never met anyone that had the genius of simplification like he still does.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's from how they created the original Paul Mitchell product line to how he approached business. And I just was really raised up in that, into how he packed for trips. I'll never forget, because we used to fly around the world, you know, all the time. And I'll never forget one of the first trips we went on together. And of course, he had a plane, because I mean, all billionaires have planes, you know.
Why
So,
not?
I think we were going to Europe. Like, I think it was like a 4-day trip to Europe or something like that. Now I show up at the airport with like these massive, massive suitcases filled with, you know, I needed 4 pairs of shoes and, you know, I needed all the things. He comes strolling up to the plane with a duffel bag.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, I've got a lot to learn about travel. So, I mean, literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started Passion Squared, I really wanted to bring that approach that allowed me to build global brands over decades. So it really wasn't about my personal style, because Passion Squared is not a personal brand. It is a business brand. My vision for it has always been to have the future leaders of our industry take it over. I actually, after being in front of the scenes for so long in my career, I never wanted to be seen again when I
Okay.
started Passion Squared, you know? So I really didn't spend any time creating a personal brand, and have spent all my time really trying to focus on building a business brand, even though I know I am the face of it.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's not forever, you know, that was never my plan. So I would say simple. I would say simple, authentic, grounded, honest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All of those things. So
All
what
those things.
about the color story? Tell us a little bit about the color story that you chose for your
The
brand.
black and
Because I
white.
feel like when you're selecting colors, you're intentional about that. Like, or you should
Absolutely.
be if you don't know that. Whoever's watching,
Absolutely.
if you don't know that, you should be very intentional, because colors mean a lot when it comes to your marketing and your branding. So
100%.
I know what your color story is, and I love it. And that is a thread that is woven into everything that you do. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, when we're looking at brand architecture, again, Julia, thank you. We're looking at brand architecture. It all starts with brand story. And of course, you know this very well. So brand story is the foundation, and it always starts there. So the way that we approach brand story, to really keep it as simple as possible, is brand purpose. What problem are you solving? Brand promise. How do you solve problems? Brand people. Who are you solving problems for? And then your products and services, you know, brand products and services. And if you ever like were involved in any type of like old school marketing education, like in college or whatever, you may have heard of the 4 Ps. So those are really, in my mind, not irrelevant, but not as relevant as, it is today with how the world has changed and how storytelling has changed and marketing has changed. So it always begins with brand story, and that story is going to help drive your brand identity. That's the colors, the aesthetic, the look and feel. So, so a couple things when we were building the brand story for Passion Squared, the business was originally inspired by the social and digital revolution, and our industry didn't know anything about the social and digital media marketing, any of that. And so it was about empowering passions, because when you think of Passion Squared, it's exponentially like growing passion, right? So if you just look at like the icon, the heart 2, that's like passion, love,
right,
squared, right? Empowered, exponentially grown, whatever. The black and white, honestly, was inspired by my history. Just I worked at a very black and white brand company. And I love that. Again, it's simple. It speaks to the simplicity in our approach. It speaks to being able to create your own kind of awesome, meaning you can apply any colors to that, right? So it's not about me telling you what your brand is, but I will extract it from you. I will help you create it, define it. And then we deliver that to a graphic designer who then can bring that to life, because brand identity is critical to help telling the story. But it's not the story.
Right.
Where you've heard, cool logos doesn't make a brand. And that's literally true. And there's a lot of misunderstanding and misconception around a term that's used a lot now is called branding. So people will be like branding. And it's like, no, that's not your brand. That's your brand identity.
Absolutely.
Or aesthetic, which again is important, but it tells the story. It tells the story. So story comes first, then you design around the story, which is why most professional graphic designers won't start a brand identity job without a clear brand story. And usually it's in their creative brief where they're asking you questions about your brand so they can design to that. So it was really inspired by all of those things. Yeah, good question. I hadn't thought about that for a long time.
That's awesome. I mean, it's important, because I feel like when I see it, it's just like with brands that have worldwide recognition. When you see them, you know that belongs to them. When I see that color palette, I know that that's yours. Like it's just top of mind, so I feel like you've done an amazing job making that very clear. So tell everybody a little bit about like Passion Squared in the sense of like the projects that maybe you can share that you're working on for 2024, and a little bit about what you do for individuals when they come to you.
That's a great question. So again, in go kind of like the theme of simplicity, we keep it really simple at Passion Squared. So we work with creatives, hairdressers, salon owners, wellness folks, to find clarity around their brand story, right? Again, the foundation of every decision you make as a business, because it's an overwhelming world, right? It's overwhelming to work with clients. It's overwhelming to own a salon and lead people. And when you have clarity around your brand story, then you make more aligned decisions. It simplifies your decision making. It's like it fits or it doesn't. It's aligned or it's not. And it literally spills into everything, whether it's the experience that you deliver, the services that you offer, how you price everything. It has to do with what your agreements look like or policies. We like the word agreement because it's shared responsibility. Handbooks and training and literally everything. It always comes back to brand. So we do that a few different ways. We work one-on-one and we work with salon owners through our A School coaching group. which is turning 10 in January, which is unreal. And I'm working on the marketing for a new course, Creating Your Awesome Brand, which is actually not a new course. It's just like new for now. It was literally the first course that we started teaching in 2013.
Okay.
But of course, the tools have evolved and the platforms have evolved. And I've had a lot of time to work with people one-on-one. So working on that. And so, yeah, it really is always going to come back to brand, business, and boundaries, which is how we work with folks. So what's new? That's what's new. That's what's new. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Turning 10 is a big deal. So,
well, I mean, Passion Square is turning 12 next year, but A School's turning 10. And it's so like, and you know this, I mean, anyone watching knows this. You have this idea, right? And you're like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's going to work. I have no idea. The whole inspiration behind A School was just the fact that salon owners feel so alone. Leadership is lonely. Ownership is lonely. And I wanted to create a space that people felt they could come, a safe place where people could come to connect with like-minded people in a kind space that practices healthy boundaries, that, you know, and provide education. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that was it. Like, I'm like that. I want people to not feel so alone. And 10 years later, it's my greatest joy. Like, I love working with folks, like, you know, so intimately, and, yeah, simple again.
Yeah.
Simple.
So 2024, we're celebrating. Tell us one way that you celebrate for yourself. Like, what is one thing that you like, you do that you feel like to celebrate yourself?
That's a great question. I'm a big believer and proponent of reflection and processing. And I have a daily journal practice that I do every morning, which includes a daily gratitude practice. For me, you know, and again, context is everything. How I celebrated 25 years ago is way different than how I celebrate today.
Right.
And I think that I really celebrate by seeing the growth in our clients and community. Cause I mean, that's literally why I'm here. Mm-hmm. I'm here to serve our clients and community. And so some reflection there, you know?
Good.
And I mean, that's about it.
I mean, so we're not out and about in Oregon. Like, what are we doing?
I'm making sure the squirrels have peanuts and the birds are fed and the hummingbirds have fresh snacks. Okay. I am so in my forest era. You have no idea. Growing up, I was born and raised in LA. I lived in LA till I was 51. So, so I have never, and even though I've traveled and done all that, I have never experienced like this type of life. And I've gone through some horrific personal things since 2020 in losing 17 loved ones. Man. It's impossible to really process. And I'm really grateful to have nature at my fingertips because it has been the greatest medicine. And so I know sometimes, like, when I talk about it, people are like, are you on something? Like, they think that I'm like stoned or something. And it's like, no, like, it really is such a leveler. It's such a grounding space, not for everybody, but for me, you know? And so I also, as a recovering workaholic, I slow it down. You know, this is I know, like, on the kids are saying like what is it? Slow life, or like slow. There's some slow trend. You can't keep up. But that's me. Like that's literally since I left my career in 2009, I have just continually like
Good for
slowed it down.
you. That's
Slowed.
important. That's truly important. And I feel like that just kind of talking about the ebb and flow of everything that you've kind of dealt with, like that is so, it sounds so peaceful. Like why you've already been around the world. You've already lived in LA around the glitz and the glam. So living in a place where you get to feed the animals, of course that's
Yes.
medicinal. Of course that's relaxing. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then I get to be here and help our clients if they have dreams and visions of traveling the world. My job is to help them see how they can get there, you know?
Mhm.
And so that is always, always at the forefront. And I'm very clear, you know, with our clients and community, just because I am sitting in a forest feeding squirrels does not mean that I want you. That's like, that's not, you know, for you. And it is important to remember that you know, when people are like, are you going to this show? And I'm like, you know how many of those shows I've been to? Like, I want you to go to the show. I want you to get the stage and the platform. I literally did. Like, I was on stage at New York IBS in 1988. Like 88.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
Yeah. And so it's like, so it's like, and then, you know, again, you know, decades of that. So I am thrilled. I love watching folks like you, Julia, like just that brings me more joy than anything is to see folks like you just rise and give so much value to people that need it so badly. And I can do that from my forest in Portland and cheer folks on. But yeah, though, I mean, I show up, I'll pop in every now and again to things, but it's, you know, it's like, I did that.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. So, in closing, kind of give everybody your socials and where they can reach out to you because again, the brand architect is here to help you as a creative. Okay?
I almost thought you were going to say social security number when you were like social and I'm like, wait, what? Like where are we? What are we doing?
No, none of that.
You can find us at Passion Squared everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and our website, passionsquared.net.
Passionsquared.net. Nina, thank you so much for taking the time out of your forest to come and be with me today. I truly appreciate it. And thank you for even joining us as we kind of just kick off this new initiative with the style exhibition. So again, passionsquare.net, Nina Kovner. You can find her on all the socials, I promise. You'll see everything in black and white. And when you see her glasses pop up, you know that's her, okay?
Thank you. It's been an honor, Julia. I'm so happy and proud. Happy for you, proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us.